Discovering the one-of-one fashion world. Sustainability is an ongoing topic in fashion. According to Deloitte, climate change and environmental issues were the top concerns for Gen Z. While more and more measures are being proposed to counter fast fashion and sustainability in the industry, there is a collective of people looking to combat this through their own expression of art. These are the one-of-one artists. So, what exactly are one-of-one artists? Well, these are designers that create pieces by hand in very limited pieces, normally being one. They also create custom pieces, also known as commissions, for customers. One-of-one designs can include airbrush pieces, hand-painted pieces, upcycling and repurposing old pieces of clothing, and more. Looking over the space, one-of-one artists have brought forward some of the most innovative and captivating pieces in the underground. What I like about it is how accessible it is. Any kid from any country can have access to old clothes and various equipment. They can then learn from those around them, the internet, or books. It relies on one's own imagination and expression, leaving a deeper sense of originality and individualism in the space. Buying from underground brands is one way to stand out, but nothing will make you stand out more than buying from a one-of-one designer. I've seen designers from Bulgaria, Argentina, the Philippines, and more countries show the world what they've got. It just goes to show the impact and reach this subculture of the underground is having. The size of the space has led to archive pages being set up to showcase this talent. One of them being my good friend Marco from the One-of-One. He's grown his page to an astonishing 100,000 followers, not to mention a lot of other things he's done, such as setting up a shop, setting up a runway show, and a myriad of other services and collaborations he's offered to designers. I was able to sit down with him and talk about the space, as I can genuinely consider him an expert in the field. Let's see what he had to say. Marco, introduce yourself, talk a little bit about yourself and your page and everything.
Hello everybody, my name is Marco, as Kelly introduced me already. I am founder of One-of-One. Which is funny, I still never know how to properly define one-of-one, right? Yeah. It's always a problem. But for now, sorry, there's noise outside. For now, it's really a movement, right? We are online, we're on IG, we're on Pinterest. We had our online shop for quite a while. Right now, it's closed. We are reconstructing the infrastructure involved with that. But yeah, we do e-commerce, we do promotion. It's really a big organization with me at the head and a couple of people working with me. Yeah. And now I'm pretty sure we are the biggest group in the one-of-one scene, at least, and one of the biggest in the custom fashion.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that sounds cool. I've been following you guys for a while, and yeah, I think it's really cool that how you're kind of, obviously there's a lot of kind of archive pages there, but yours is more so focused on one niche, specifically one-of-one. So I found that really cool, man. Congrats on that one.
Thank you.
I'll start off by kind of asking, what does this kind of one-of-one space mean to you, and like what's your kind of thinking of the space right now, currently?
Yeah. Well, so on the surface level, right? One-of-one. What is one-of-one? It's just a garment that exists in one edition. Right, it's one-of-one. It can't be replicated. Yeah. That's kind of most basic condition for something to be a one-of-one. But in reality, it's a lot more. It's a lot more than that. I've been working in this space for 3 years, probably like 1.5 year, 2 years just on Instagram with archive pages, yeah, and then a year, 2 year, year and a half on like more broadly with events, with stores, with stylists and everything out there. Essentially, what I see one-of-one is a movement, is a niche in fashion of people who create stuff independently, who create garments completely independently, who are self-taught people, who upcycle, not just because it's better for the environment, but also because it's more convenient, it's more practical. And yeah, it's this tight-knit community of independent fashion designers who do their thing and who are very, who are a lot more artistic than kind of business-oriented. Because people who usually do one-of-ones, they do them because that's just the kind of their workflow. They can't focus on one thing for too long. They get ideas, they get inspired, yeah, and they just want to get one piece, right? And they move on. So this is kind of the vibes. It's still very early, I would say. Again, before me, nobody really went out there and said, this is one-of-one. We are doing just one-of-ones. Yeah. It was always kind of like an attribute to something else. We are kind of the first ones to fully focus on that. So we are still early and we're still defining this whole move.
Yeah, that's definitely good news. I like how you said about there are people who are more creative than business minded, because that's that's like a common problem within brand owners in this space. They're either too creative or too business minded. So I kind of like how you said, yeah, they're one of one, and I definitely see how there's with one of one artists, designers, there's definitely more creativity involved rather than kind of like the business side, which is not exactly a problem because it's more so to do with that's just your expression of yourself, your art. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of the whole kind of one-on-one wave. Um, so with this space right now, what do you think of the space currently, and what do you think of the future of where it's heading?
Good question. Well, again, we're still very early, right? We're still defining everything. Right now, one of one scene is at that space where a lot can change,
Yeah,
a lot can be improved. It can evolve in many different ways. It can go very south. It can go very good,
yeah,
right? Depending on what kind of the trendsetters and the move makers in the scene decide to do. Right now, I see it. Hmm, when it comes to making one of one pieces, there are not many people can make it their living. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's kind of the most important point that I come across. What artists ask me, hey, how do I price my pieces? How do I live off this? I really want to do this for real, for real. I'm not saying that doing one of ones is necessarily harder than manufacturing stuff, because that's also a whole process and it takes a lot of effort and time. One of one is just harder to make it work,
yeah,
look wise, scale size.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
100%.
now we're at that stage where people are trying to figure out, everybody for themselves, right, how they can live of this. And kind of the best, most high quality stuff, most, you know, stuff that attracts the most people is kind of surfacing. And only now we're kind of getting idea what's good, what's bad,
Yeah,
what's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
who
yeah,
are, who are the worst. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we're still kind of, and that's kind of what I see as my main job, as kind of my main responsibility in this space, is to curate and to be really be like, okay, this guy, like for example, I don't know, by Cody Phillips. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
he
yeah,
doesn't do one of ones anymore, just one of ones. He started off, he's one of those guys who really set some standards.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh, first, he's smaller. He's also good friends with him, especially because early pieces. He sets standards
yeah,
right there. You have Punk and Saint. This hand paint guy from Turkey, I'm really good with him. He used to be in my store. He sets the standards, right?
yeah,
So there's people, and I'm just putting a few names out there. There's too many to name,
yeah.
really.
There's so many that who are really
Exactly.
talented. So yeah,
That's kind of my main thing, because I do, as you know, no matter how much artistic and this whole place is, me personally, and this is just my personal opinion, not like the reflection of the scene,
yeah,
I believe in good amount of objectivity
yeah,
when it
hundred
comes to
percent,
coding.
hundred
You
percent.
know, there's bad stuff, there's good stuff, it is what it is. And kind of this is my main responsibility now, to show these designers, to show these kids like what is good, what is not, and what are the standards of something making a good one of one.
Yeah,
Because I get a lot of DMs from people, they have like their first sewing project, like very basic, and they send me a DM and like, hey bro, can you post me? And then when they don't get a reply in like 2 days, they're like, what the fuck, man? I thought you're for the people, blah blah
yeah,
blah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
a lot of that. You
Yeah,
know what I
there's
mean?
so
Right
much.
now, yeah.
Yeah, people don't
And
understand the realities of actually running a page, like an archive page. People think, oh yeah, everyone just gets a chance, and it's just it's more difficult than that. So yeah, I get some of those messages a lot of the times as well. It's very hard to kind of navigate. You have to be careful with how you kind of move through there, because in this space, it's just everyone's always trying to take each other down anyway. So um, the next kind of question I wanted to kind of get my head around is, how do you think one of one designers kind of can help in sustainability and the future of fashion as a whole? Because obviously they're very more so sustainable. They're recycling, they're upcycling stuff. So how do you think they're kind of playing into that role?
yeah, so sustainability was the primary reason why I started one of one initially.
Yeah.
Everything else is secondary when it comes to quality, design, price, whatever. Everything else comes secondary after sustainability. And why I chose one of one is because no matter what I do with one of ones, it will always be sustainable.
Yeah.
Right? Let me explain. I really believe one of one fashion, one of one pieces are the most sustainable way to consume fashion. No question.
Okay.
Because you can use whatever organic material, whatever upcycled fabrics that you want to do and blah, 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 and use like no waste, sewing patterns and all these things. But at the end of the day, if you make 100 hoodies, you made 100 hoodies. And you can't change the fact. And that's in the world.
I never understand that.
Yeah, my main, like when I talk about sustainability, right? Sustainability, this, you know, people like to view it very one-dimensionally usually, right? And I also like disagree with most of people in sustainability sector. I really don't vibe with kind of in this place. It's really the main thing in sustainability for me is anti-consumerism, plain and simple. We just have to like consume less. You know what I mean? Because if you look historically, at the time where we live, you probably consumed more food, more products, more clothes than all of your ancestors combined.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably. You're right. It's crazy. Like, because we are, and this is obviously like eventually will, you know, this can't go on forever. So what I'm saying, we should just be prepared for a much less consumerist society, because you can't, you know, you waste the resources and everything. So when you make a one-of-one, when you make it in your own bedroom, man, when you just go to a thrift and buy something, upcycle, even if you get fabric, that stock fabric, buy fabric, whatever, you made that one-of-one. And whoever gets the one-of-one, the point of one-of-ones is to be also like to last a very long time. And this is why I talk about all these standards. Like, if you're gonna make a one-of-one that's acrylic paint or something and it's gonna disappear in one wash, you're not doing anything.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? So and it's also that's why the customs go into it, and that's why personal relationships with the designer goes into it. Like people being able to talk to a designer directly. This is the main value offering. After all these years I've been working, this is what people want to pay for. They want to talk kind of directly. So if you get a piece from a designer that you talk one-on-one, that has some custom elements, right, dedicated to you, and you're the only person who has this thing in the entire world, and it's high quality. You will have it in your life. That's
exactly.
And that is sustainability for me, you know?
No, I think everything you said is very well put together. I see it almost like a kind of revolution in fashion. Whether it will, you know, go kind of bigger and mainstream, that's maybe a question for another day. But what you said, I really like what you said. It was very well put together, and I definitely agree. I definitely see, you know, where you're coming from, and it seems like you've got a kind of good mindset around it, good headspace around it as well. My last kind of question is to, like, you know, to finish off. Would you want? Obviously, you already mentioned some one-of-one designers. Would you like to plug some more as well? Obviously, I know you said you don't like your favorites, but there's so many. But if you want, you could just, you know, just plug a few designers that you think, yeah, you guys have to check these guys out.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. Again, I don't have favorites. I cannot, you know.
It's very difficult to pick favorites.
It's just, honestly, I see it's for me, for my personal taste. There are a few people for my personal taste, right? But I don't talk, because I'm this curator guy. I'm this kind of, you know, I don't really want to put my personal opinions that much up front, because it's not about that. It's not about me, you know, it's about everybody. But like, okay, I mean, you know, I had some shout out people I work with for a very long time, like Creamy Studios, one of the best airbrush people
I like
on earth.
Guys. Love those guys.
Had a collab piece with them that's, you know, sold off the auction, the Piece Unique. And I want to talk about Piece Unique a little also after this.
Yeah, for sure.
Broken Supply also did a collab piece with him. Love the guy. He was on my shop for a long time. We sold pieces, moved. Very good. Even though there was some drama, Hiromar, also another airbrusher that's an OG that's been in the scene for a very long time. He's been, you know, even people like, man, see, on top of my head now I'm losing, but like 3R Europe, I don't know exactly how to pronounce. She's this girl from Poland.
I've seen her. Crazy work. I'll put her stuff up. Crazy work. Nuts.
Like Delusional Kids, that's he's a little bit more underground, but he has this very cool soft boy hyper pop aesthetic to his content. I really fuck with that. I mean, geez, man, I don't know.
No, that's definitely a good list. What I'll do is another part of the video, I'll plug my own, you know, not my favorites, but, you know, some ones I think deserve recognition out there.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah, also, we can go for a long time.
I have just one more, because I am wearing his T-shirt. It's Malia.
Oh, I love him. Love that guy.
Bulgaria, one of my good friends, like internet friends, right?
Yeah.
But I will actually meet him next week. He
Oh,
has an
wow.
event.
Oh
He
yeah,
has
I see he's doing a lot of events now, so that's pretty cool. Yeah,
he's doing
congrats
his
to him on
first.
that.
Yeah, he's doing his first event in his home city, Sofia, in Bulgaria, and
Mm.
I'm flying out. I'm like doing and I'm taking care of the whole content. So I'm managing, you know what I mean? I'm actually working
Yeah,
there, and I'm super excited for that.
that's
Super
pretty
excited.
good. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna definitely keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
To kind of make the last point, you said you wanted to mention Piece Unique as well, because I see him doing a lot of good stuff as well.
This, because this is kind of piece unique, is run by this guy Diego, who I also never met in real life, but he's my good friend.
Yeah.
He's originally Italy, live in France. Now he's in LA, right? He's LA based. And essentially, Piece Unique is kind of the real life reflection of everything one-of-one scene has been bubbling up on the internet.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very important. And he's doing these shows, these runaway auction shows in LA, like very unique. Nobody is doing this format. People are starting to get on it now and trying to recreate, but they can't, because it's really well done. It's really tight knit community. Just want to shout out that. So if you like what's happening online, but you also want kind of more real life stuff, because that's also very important, check out Piece Unique, and kind of that model that he developed in LA, I think will be very popular all over. Like,
that sounds good. I'll definitely plug that in the video as well. As for that, Marco, thank you so much for coming on. You've given us a lot of insight, given us a lot of great kind of content, and a lot of information. So I do dearly appreciate you taking time out of your day, giving us this information. So before we get into the key takeaways, I want to plug one of one designers I believe deserves some spotlight. First, we have SLX World. Now, this is a brand I've covered in a previous video. It was funded by Susanna Wheatcroft during the pandemic. She merges the world of fine art and fashion together through a range of original prints and origami. She made her first dress when she was 13. She sees her brand as an extension of herself, which makes sense as her interests heavily lie in colors, flowers, textile design, and fine art. Her main inspirations that sparked the brand were from seeing a garden of flowers as well as a trip to Italy. Before My Legs Explode. This is a brand we've consistently included in our drops of the week. It seems like every time they drop, they secure their spot. Also referred to as Dasher, they really show the potential of embroidery, having made some of the craziest pieces I've seen in the space. Next we have Teddy Opong. Now Teddy Opong is a young designer from London that started around a year ago from the time of this video. He's actually recently dropped his Fall Winter 22 collection. He sells and paints on his work and is also a digital artist, having created a range of different pieces, all showcased on his page. Void Reincarnation. Now this is one of the brands I think is at the top of the food chain when it comes to this scene. His pieces are widely inspired by anime, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. Void has consistently created some of the most outlandish pieces to date, and it seems there's no stopping him. Last but not least, we have Life's Legend. This is a brand out of Texas founded by Nathaniel Mojica. His design process includes looking at colors, sketches, listening to music, nature, and even books. Nathaniel experiments with recycled materials, upcycling them into new and loud pieces. Now, of course, I always have to include some honorable mentions. First, we have Utopia by Cho creating the craziest products in all his viral videos. Next, we have Deco Studio. While he offers more than just denim jeans, it seems like he's mastered the art of distressing denim. Ethereal Regalia. Now, this is a design that I would describe as depicting aspects of the world of his hand-painted pieces. Last but not least, with the honorable mentions, we have Hankook. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He also creates hand-painted pieces, or as he describes, wearable art, with denim pants seeming to be his favorite canvas to paint on. Let's look at some of the key takeaways from this video. Marco's definition. Now, Marco defines one of one as a niche in fashion of people who create things independently. It's a tight-knit community of self-taught upcyclers, painters, and more who express themselves through fashion. They tend to have more of a creative mind than a business mind, which is a common point brought up in the space. It's still in the early stages. It's very dynamic in the sense it can go a lot of different ways. There's still a lot of figuring out to do. Not many can make it their living, which is one thing that is being worked out. From the get-go, the core goal for One of One was positioning designers for the sustainability aspect. Now he believes the true way to combat this is through an anti-consumerist society where consumers don't feel the need to constantly update their wardrobes. The purpose of One of One. Along with other brands' work, he wants to set the bar for what should be considered good quality in the space. He also believes that one way to do that is by being objective with pieces. But why is the space so big? Well, from a consumer's perspective, the personal connection they get with brand owners is what they value. They get to speak to the owner and sometimes even see them face to face. Being able to have direct conversation with designers to get exactly what you want to a T means a lot to them. Personalization is going to be a big aspect going forward in business overall. More and more consumers crave connection and forming relationships with brands and designers. Now overall, that's it for the video. I really hope you've learned something. Comment who your favorite designer was, or even recommend some in the comments. Share this to a friend who needs this. Like and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you.